So we have our buildings in perspective. I'm going to zoom in so you can see, but keep in mind I've got vanishing points here and here. Now let's do a pyramid. That's easy. So think of a pyramid like this. Now I'm going to draw a. We'll need to find the center of the top of my building. I'm just going to connect the corners. I'll draw it very lightly because, again, I want to erase this. So that's the center of my rooftop. Now, why do I need the center of the rooftop? Well, if you imagine a pyramid, imagine a string on the inside of the pyramid. And again, imagine the Great Pyramids, but they're completely hollow. And there's a string going from the top of the pyramid hanging down to the bottom. So the center of the top of the pyramid, that's above the center of the base of the pyramid. And so we found the center of the base. So now we know where the tippy top of the pyramid is. It's going to be directly above that center point. Because again, imagine that string hanging down, and it's just hanging down using gravity, and it's going to touch the floor. So where's that string? Well, that string has to follow perspective. So it's touching here, the center of our roof, and since it is a vertical line, it touches our bottom vanishing point. Let me draw that arrow in camera. There we go. So I'm going to draw. I'm not going to go too high. It doesn't have to be too tall. So here's our imaginary string that is hanging from the top of our pyramid. And so here's the top of our pyramid. I've determined that point. Where does that point need to go? I'm going to erase this stuff really quick just to get it out of the way. I'm going to erase the back of the building too now. What do we need for our pyramid? Well, the pyramid is just triangles going around a square. So I'm going to connect the top. And again, I'm just going to erase this stuff now because I don't need it. The top of our pyramid just needs to connect to the base of our pyramid. Make sure things line up. So that is a pyramid done in 3-point perspective. So this top is angled along with the rest of the building along our third vanishing point. It's got that same angle. And one of these sides, this side should be a little bit bigger than this side because this side is technically a little bit closer to us. Okay, so that's one way to sort of mathematically, logically think through, well, how do I do a pyramid to make a building that's a little bit more interesting than just a cube? So that's how you do a pyramid in 3 points perspective. The base is a square. We know how to draw squares. The top is going to be above the center of that square. And the center of that square, remember, is pushed back and over a little bit because it's in perspective. Erase. So, how do we do a dome? I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to find the center of my, and this is a little bit off. Fix that. Where's the center of my roof, the base? It's right here. And again, think about a string that is hanging down from the center topmost point of that dome. That string is hanging straight down and touching our base. So I'm going to draw that string in perspective, and the string going up and down needs to go down to my third vanishing point here. So here's that imaginary string. So again, I'm going to erase my roof because I've got the tippy top most point of my round. It's a half sphere. A dome is just half of a sphere. So that's the topmost point. Now I just need to eyeball some round sides. But remember, this round side is going to be smaller than this one. This one's going to be a little bit more bulbous. So this is going to be round but a little fatter because it's closer to us, remember. I'm going to use the side of the building sort of as a limitation. So, erasing all the inside bits. Now you can eyeball this. Just eyeball it, and remember, this part of the dome, this side of it, is going to be closer to me because it's on the front side of my building. This one is going to be smaller. So this is just a small section of a circle, and this is sort of fat and bigger. So there's a dome done in 3-point perspective. Now to really add detail to it, I'm going to add value and stuff too. But if the bones of the thing are correct, then the rest of it's going to be correct. Now I could do a pointed arch, right? How many different shapes can I do in architecture? A pointed arch, a Gothic arch. It's sort of halfway between a pyramid and a dome. Well, again, keep in mind, pretend there's a string hanging down from the topmost center point. So I need to find that center point on the base. And so how does that work? Well, think through it logically based on these rules, your limitations of the 3 vanishing points. So that's 2 somewhat more complicated shapes that you can add to your invented cities. And I'd like to see at least one of, or both, if not more, complicated shapes so that we have a more, if you look at even Denver skyline, like how would you do the typewriter building in 3-point perspective? That's a cool challenge. I'd like to see that one of y'all do that. Y'all know the typewriter building, the one that's sort of shaped like this, right? How do you do that in 3-point perspective? I'd like to know. So I'm going to stop recording. I think that's enough for this. I'm drawing these objects in 3-point perspective. Any questions before I close out?
What's the name of that building again you challenged for us to draw?
People call it the typewriter building in Denver, downtown Denver.
Typewriter?
Yeah, because it looks like
Okay.
the top of it is sort of curved, and then it has like a lip. It looks like that.
Yeah, I've seen it. I just didn't know what it was called, so cool.
Yeah.
I might do it.
I'm not sure what the actual technical name of the building is. It's probably named after some company or something, but we've always called it the typewriter building.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, how do you draw that in 3-point perspective? Remember, these lines will have to go down to a vanishing point. These lines will either go to that vanishing point or this vanishing point, left or right. And then these curves, just kind of eyeball them, right? They will be connecting these points that, again, I'm looking at this from above, so these will be sort of shallow like that. These will converge like that. So again, these converge on our right vanishing point. And this sort of narrows down here. This needs to be more shallow, right? Those converge, and then it's just a matter of, okay, trying to draw sort of a curved line that fits. That looks okay, that looks right. Again, some of these things you're just gonna have to eyeball. You're like, does that look right? So again, figuring it out sort of logically. Okay, this line has to go to that vanishing point. This line has to go to that vanishing point. And then you sort of fill in the gaps with your creativity. Because at some point, with all this math and all this logic and all this, this is very much like an architecture lesson where everything's mathematical. Well, we're artists. Math is important to understand for art. But at the same time, we're artists. And so we got to fill in the gaps with funness and creativity and right? And so challenge yourself. How would I draw a balcony? Let's do that right now while I'm recording. How would I draw a balcony? A balcony is a cut into a building. So I'm going to cut into the building. I'm going to start, again, I'm going to start with a point. I'm going to put part of the balcony here. Let me zoom in so you all can see. Again, this will be recorded. So again, I'm just going to pick a point. Well, that point has to go to my 2 vanishing points. Well, 3, but again, it already goes down. Already goes down. So it needs to go left and right. People coming in. And again, so let's just say I put the bottom of my balcony here or so. I'm just going to very kind of quickly knock this in. So here's the cut of the balcony, right? It's cutting into my building. I mean, I can, again, turn this into anything I want. This is where creativity comes in. I worked in a balcony. I worked in a building that had a balcony overlooking the city, so this is where that idea comes in. We would watch parades and throw shredded paper on people. It was fun. So, we want to do the floor of the balcony. And again, I've got a point here, and I just need that point to go where people stand. I'm not going to make it too big. And so that's where it's going to end. I'm going to make, where's the wall? Well, it has to go, it's going up and down, so it has to go down to my center or bottom vanishing point. All right, so I've got the floor. Same with this and this. I need to draw that part, whatever you want to call it, the bottom of the back wall where the floor of my balcony is. So it needs to go, since it's sort of on the right side of my building, which vanishing point does it connect to? It connects to that one. It already connects to this one going this way. It already connects to the bottom going that way. So same with this. This right here, which way does it go? I'm going to have to think through. So this needs to go here. This line needs to continue sort of up a little bit. And it meets this one. Same with this point. This point needs to come back here. And then comes in a little bit. And then it needs to go here. And this needs to connect to this, but it needs to connect to my vanishing point. Which vanishing point? Well, the left one. So, and again, I'm going to take some liberties here and just sort of draw and clarify things a little bit so they look right. And so there's a cut into my building that I just did based on our rules here, on our 3 vanishing points. Every point that I did, so this point, and this point, as I cut in, they have to go to a vanishing point. So this one has to go this way. Because it already goes this way, up and down. It already goes this way, to the left, has to go that way. This one doesn't quite look right. Because I think it just needs to kind of continue up from the bottom. So it's kind of going to look like that. It's going to look kind of funky. And as I draw, if something looks funky, I'm just going to maybe eyeball it a little bit and see if I can't just fix it with a little bit of artistic license just to trust my intuition so that I feel like that looks good. I think that looks fine. Not great, but again, I'm trying to follow my rules here. I can even sort of maybe erase some of this. So there, I've got a weird building that has a dome, and that has a little weird kind of cut into it, a weird balcony. It looks okay for what we've done today. Now, again, to make this look better, we're going to add value. That's the next part of this assignment, is adding value. You're going to invent a light source, but we'll do that in another video at another time. Again, I'm really just trying to remind myself, where does this line supposed to go? Well, which vanishing point do I need to go to? This point right here, it has to go to this vanishing point, which it already does. It has to go to this vanishing point, which it already does. So which one do I need to do? That one. So I draw a little line going towards the right vanishing point, because that's the only one that's missing. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. I will upload this to D2L so you have it.